South Africa.
South Africa.
South Africa.
Südafrika.
L'Afrique du Sud.
Is this about the World Cup or what have we done now?
The UN's top court delivered an interim ruling on the case of genocide brought against Israel by South Africa. The ICJ ordered so-called provisional measures to protect Palestinians from genocidal acts in Gaza.
All of a sudden, we're getting so much love. It feels like 1994 all over again.
Thank you to South Africa for filing case against occupation.
We see no one better than our brothers and sisters from South Africa.
Well, not from everyone.
South Africa has decided to play advocate for the devil.
The charge of genocide is meritless.
Atrocious and preposterous.
Ludicrous.
Absurd.
False.
Cynical.
Malevolent.
So what has really been going on? I thought ICJ was just how people greet each other in Cape Town.
Aweh, ICJ, KG?
But it turns out it's a little bit more complicated than that.
This case was very much about international bodies ensuring that they exercise their responsibility.
I dig those SA scarves, but I know what you're thinking. Why Sipapa? Why Singondaba Zabantu? Don't we have other things to worry about, like load shedding or keeping our trains from smashing into each other?
Well, actually, KG, South Africa's relationship status with both Israel and Palestine means that our destinies were bound to collide.
It's complicated. So, comrades, why did we get involved? And what does it mean for SA on the world stage? Quick, before the DA comes and paints over this video, let's get away. So let's start right in the beginning. Everything started on October 7th, 2023.
Are you sure about that?
It all started when Israel was created in 1948.
I don't think so.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
Okay. Whoa, let me explain. The Israel-Palestine conflict involved disputes over land, borders, and mutual recognition. Post-World War II, the 1948 establishment of Israel displaced Palestinians, leading to ongoing conflicts between the Israeli state and Palestinian people.
Wow, you're good.
Thanks. I use ChatGPT. An increasingly repressive right-wing Israeli government has made life for Palestinians very difficult, especially those living here in the Gaza Strip.
Gaza has been under a blockade for the past 16 years.
There is no other way to define the regime that Israel has imposed on the Palestinians other than an open-air prison.
Under the worsening conditions, it was only a matter of time before retaliation from Hamas, the group which controls Gaza.
Hamas has launched the biggest attack on Israel in years, a surprise assault that combined gunmen penetrating into Israeli towns with the barrage of rockets fired from the Gaza Strip.
Since then, the Israeli army has retaliated with a massive siege on Gaza, laying waste to more than half of the buildings. Here are some of the key facts. Hamas killed 1,139 people on October 7th. They also took 136 Israeli hostages. More than 25,000 Palestinians have been killed so far in Israel's siege on Gaza.
And that brings us to South Africa's submission that Israel is committing genocide at the International Court of Justice.
Not to be confused with the International Criminal Court.
You mean the International Colonizers Court? Oh. What? They only arrest black people?
Well, the ICJ settles disagreements between countries, while the ICC tries individuals for crimes. So basically, no one's going to jail here.
Someone's got to go to prison, man.
This is more like asking that Israel kindly stop bombing Gaza.
Okay. But why us?
Well, actually, any member state can open a case against another based on a statute in international law. Here's the tea from South Africa's testimony.
South Africa contends that Israel has transgressed Article 2 of the Convention by committing actions that fall within the definition of genocide.
Israel's political leaders have declared their genocidal intent. The Deputy Speaker of Israel's parliament has called for the erasure of the Gaza Strip from the face of the earth.
Israel argued that the use of force alone does not constitute genocide and that it was just defending itself from Hamas.
While Israel is seeking to minimize civilian harm, Hamas is doing everything in its power to use the civilian population for its own protection.
I'm not so sure how the whole minimizing civilian harm is working out, but okay. After a while, it all started to sound like this.
Hamas.
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 Hamas. Hamas human shield.
We did good. We brought the Justice League of Lawyers.
The court considers that Israel must take all measures within its power to prevent the commission of all acts within the scope of Article 2 of the Convention. Israel must take immediate and effective measures. Israel must ensure.
This is a landmark ruling.
This is a huge win for South Africa, but more importantly, it's a huge win for the Palestinian people.
Israel today is on trial for genocide.
Kaboom! You've been lawyered.
Yeah!
I'll tell you the real reason why we got involved. We've got beef with Israel.
What a moment for the entire nation of South Africa.
As the African Union summit kick-started, Israel has condemned the expulsion of its diplomats and accused Algeria and South Africa of orchestrating the move.
It was an overwhelming vote in favor of downgrading South Africa's official representation in Tel Aviv.
Our parliament has adopted an EFF motion to close the Israeli embassy in South Africa.
That concludes South Africa's address. Thank you.
And why are we beefing with Israel? Well, number one, Israel was happy to offer nuclear weapons to the South African apartheid government. Number two, Israel and the South African apartheid government are in the same WhatsApp group.
Apartheid really began in 1948.
The Nakba took place in Palestine in 1948.
More than 60,000 people were forcibly removed.
Nora Suplaban shouts the criminals have evicted her.
Legislation restricted where you could go, who you could marry, and where you would live.
These workers and their communities are surrounded by checkpoints. Israeli settlers are not subject to the same treatment.
To see how the two versions of apartheid compare on the ground, we reached out to someone who's lived in both Palestine and South African apartheid and has researched conflicts for decades.
I remember very well as a child, growing up in places where there were these huge signs that said, "Niet net for blankes," But when you get to Palestine, there's a whole massive infrastructure. There are roads that only illegal settlers can use. There's a whole set of different laws that apply to them. The thing that shocked me most was that they had carefully driven these tanks through the corners of the house where they knew people's kitchens were. This was at the same time as Israel had done things like ban the import of pasta into Gaza because they didn't want people eating comfort food.
Even pasta?
How dare you?
Historically, both countries had developed settler colonialism around the same time in 1948. During 1967, Israel annexed even further land, and since then there has been a gradual introduction of settlements in the areas that are supposed to be free Palestine that completely disenfranchises and deprives the Palestinian people of their right to self-determination. Several international organizations have identified that what is taking place in Palestine is absolutely a system of apartheid.
But not everyone agrees with the definition.
Calling Israel an apartheid state is an insult to us as South Africans.
I, as somebody who grew up in South Africa, I know what is apartheid.
Israel has got 22% of their population being Palestinians.
There are 22% Arabs in the population of this country.
There are judges who are Palestinians.
There are Supreme Court judges.
That's funny. It's almost like they're reading from the exact same script.
On the flippity-flop, the ANC anti-apartheid movement was tight with the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization.
A lot of it boils down to our first democratic president. You know the guy. Weird accent. Colorful shirts. Up for auction to the highest bidder. That guy.
We identify with the PLO because just like ourselves, they are fighting for the right of self-determination.
Nelson Mandela has famously said that the freedom of South Africa cannot be enjoyed until the Palestinians are free. So since 1994, that has been our policy of supporting in solidarity with the Palestinian people for their freedom as well.
Maybe this is why South Africans feel so passionately about Palestine today.
Central Cape Town gridlocked on Saturday as tens of thousands of South Africans took part in a march in support of Palestinians living in Gaza.
And it's South Africans of many backgrounds who feel this way.
I think as Jewish people, this issue feels quite close and personal to us. We're descendants of people who've survived and often didn't survive the Holocaust, so we very much know what political violence looks like. But also as South Africans, we've been, the benefactor of another form of structural violence in the form of apartheid. So we understand these issues quite well from both sides of the spectrum. But regardless of that, one doesn't really need to be Jewish, as the pro-Palestinian movement has shown. It just takes a base level of compassion and understanding of humanity to want to be compelled to be involved in something like this. I think it's a tactic that Zionists want to do, is they want to make Israel seem like it's a Jewish issue, when it's got nothing actually to do with Judaism. It's a political issue, an issue of settler colonialism.
There are some people who think that the ANC is just being opportunistic ahead of the 2024 elections.
And the one teeny tiny issue is that by bringing this case against Israel, we've seriously pissed off at least 3 of our biggest trading partners, the US, Germany, and the UK.
I don't want peace. I want problems, always.
Okay, maybe we should have minded our own business. Psych!
There is going to be greater repercussions that South Africa actually championed this case at the ICJ, and it completely shifts the world order. And in utilizing the court, South Africa has emphasized the need for reform of the global governance infrastructure.
Comrades, this is one of the most complicated issues ever. I don't know what the answer to the conflict is. All I know is that watermelon smothered with hummus is not delicious. But they both have a place at the broad. Hey, look at us. We did it.
But what about all the load shedding?
Yeah, got an inverter. Sorry. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now go fight amongst each other in the comments. Until next time, stay away.
Include an increasingly repressive right-wing government. White-wing.
What
you know about this? What's the thing?